Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome. We hope that you are having a great week, that you have had a great day, and we are appreciative of you joining us. Today we have another fantastic program for you. And so we're happy that you are here. If you saw, or our title is, She Found Her Purpose in the Pandemic. Well, I'm excited to talk about that and for you to hear about that. But in the meantime, I'm Lorraine Edwards. I am the co-founder of A Single Mission, a business ministry that exists to engage, empower, and encourage single women to embrace their singleness, walk in their purpose, and create a life they love now, even as they seek and prepare for the partner they desire. I am happy to have you here once more. And just remember, as you know, you are my army of impact. I want to reach 10,000 women this year with our message, and you are the venue by which I can do that. So I need you to I need you to share, I need you to comment, not just in the live chat, but also just in the comments, because we know so much is based on the algorithm. And so I need you to kick that off by making some comments on this program and any other ones that you watch. And let us know what you think, ask questions. We would appreciate, and of course, subscribe, share with your friends, let them know what's happening. Our check-in, our pulse check is on. Do you think purpose is a real thing, or is it just a trendy topic for the times? Let me know. HD Fancy Free is here, and she says, yes, she thinks it's a real thing. Still looking for mine. All right. Well, anyone who's been here with me before knows that I have this special co-host for my Live and Love Wiser episodes, and then someone else for my Marry Wiser episodes. But you welcome her back. Renee is here again tonight. Say hi to the people, Renee.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here yet again.
Yes, we're glad to have her here. Can y'all please tell her to just go ahead and commit to being the co-host? Like, I don't understand why. Just if y'all pressure her, she'll do it. She'll do it. But I'm always happy to have her here. Well, tonight we're just going to get in with it. Get on with it. Tonight, I want you to get ready for a great conversation on purpose. This is something that's really important to me. As you see in the mission statement, part of what we do is help single women walk in their purpose. A lot of times we don't know what that is, or we're waiting for a partner to feel like we're fully fulfilled and complete, and now we can do something. A lot of times, I know for myself, I was living small for a long time, just kind of waiting, kind of in the waiting room of life for that partner. And then I was going to do something, and God kind of directed me something different. So I want to introduce to you someone that I met in a networking group who I really hit it off with immediately. And and I invited her, like we had a 5-minute networking moment. And within that time, we hit it off so well, I invited her to come on this program. So welcome, my new friend, Kristen Keller. Kristen?
Thank you. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Renee.
Hi.
Happy to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to get on with it and talk to you about purpose.
Let's see about myself. Well, I live near Boulder, Colorado, originally from New Jersey. I have 2 teenage boys, 16, 18-year-olds. Let's see, I have a dog, a turtle, a bird, and a lizard. So we have like a zoo in our house. And I have been married almost 21 years.
Nice. All right. Well, can you tell me, what did you want to be when you were a little girl?
When I was a little girl, for the longest time, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And in fact, I did go to school to follow that dream. And so I did major in animal science to go toward that. Decided that wasn't the path for me. But I still wanted medicine. So I went over to a biology major for pre-med. And really, I knew I wanted to help other living beings, right? Whether they were animals or humans. But then I kind of came to the realization as a sophomore that I didn't want to go through all that school, that wasn't going to be a priority for me to spend that much time in school. So I ended up completely changing direction and going for a degree in communications and did high-tech public relations for over 20 years. And I had my minor in biology, but I definitely took a different focus.
So that's kind of a huge shift.
Yes,
From
it
biology.
is.
Were you also interested in communications when you were younger, or how did you end up there?
Oh, honestly, it's so funny. It was actually my now husband. I had been talking to him saying, I don't think this isn't what I want to do. I don't want to be in school anymore. And it just so happened he was in an internship in Austin. And he had gone to lunch and there was this public relations person there. And he said, I don't know, look into it. Like I could totally see you doing this. And so I looked into it and I was like, yeah, I could do that. Like that actually sounds really interesting. And maybe that is because my brain did a little bit of a flop during college too. I went I don't know, it just went from very math and science oriented to more of what they taught in the communications field. And so that's just where I ended up. And really, I thrived in that.
Oh, that's cool. So I want to go back a little bit. You said you wanted to help living beings. What inspired that? I mean, because a lot of when we're younger, especially when we were younger, it was kind of like a narrow field of what you were exposed to. So it was just like doctor or lawyer or social worker or, a teacher. And so what inspired you to pick that or be interested in that? Was anyone in your family in the medical field at all?
Nope. No, they weren't. And I think veterinarian is probably one of those careers also that probably fell into that everybody was aware of. And I think I just loved animals. I mean, we did, I have a lot of animals now. We always had a lot of animals growing up. Like my mom was, I'm starting to understand now what a saint she was. Cause now that we have all of these animals and like, she was the same way. We had so many animals growing up and I just loved all of them. And was just kind of fascinated about things about them, good and bad, that were kind of their natural behaviors and things. And so I guess I was just interested in animals and the fact that they oftentimes can't help themselves, in more dire situations and things. So that was the way I wanted to go.
And did your parents have any influence or impact over your career choices, or did they push you in any direction?
They didn't. They were really just supportive of whatever I wanted to do. As long as I worked hard at it, as long as I was working toward that goal, they were supportive. Of whatever. So even though I changed my major twice, there was no backlash from my parents or anything. They supported me in the direction that I took.
I love that. I think a lot of times
Uh-huh.
when we think about like the directions that we end up going in
Mhm.
life, if you're having a perfect world conversation, you know, a lot of people would say that our parents did help us. They guided us,
Mhm.
they set some sort of example for us. But I love how your experience, it was a little similar to mine, where
Mhm.
somebody else out in the world spoke life into something totally different. You
Yes.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
you had your idea about going, you know, to be going on to be a vet, which is a big deal, but that's a
Uh-huh.
big undertaking, and you were willing to go all the way, and that's not a
Yeah.
cheap, you know.
Uh-huh.
But what I like about your story, which is also similar to mine, is that somebody just introduced us to something new and we were willing to take that chance. And I think that speaks to another part of your story that we're going to get into is
Mhm.
your willingness to take this person at their word, you know, do your research and to
Mhm.
go forward in a new direction. So I love that.
That is very relevant for what we'll talk about.
See, a lot of times when we know our story and we don't always see the intricacies
Right.
and the beauty of it,
Yeah.
but someone else hears it and they're like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And that's
Mhm.
kind of why we love doing this, because
Yeah.
everyone who's watching can get a little piece that matters to them or that speaks to them. So
Mhm.
I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So your then boyfriend, now husband, introduces you to public relations and
Mhm.
you start researching it, and then what?
And then I just it was funny because at that point I did mention to my parents, I'm looking into this public relations and this is kind of what it is. And them and my friends in college, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that is so you." So it was kind of, they're like, "I could totally see you doing that." So it was kind of funny that this career I really had no idea existed was what everybody outside of me seemed to think was the exactly what I should be doing. So then
So
yeah.
what about it? Sorry, what about it made them think this was you?
I think because it was more, I mean, it was communicating with people. And I guess I just have always enjoyed people.
Mm,
And
mhm,
uh so I think it was just the fact that I would get to interact with people and help strategize on things
mhm.
and just and write, which I don't necessarily enjoy writing. Oh, well, I'll probably get to that later too, but I don't necessarily enjoy writing, but I'm okay at it.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was just the skills that I had
That's
um,
cool. Well, I
matched.
mean, I can see it. Like I said, we were in this networking virtual thing, and you basically get 5 minutes in the room with somebody, and then they pull you out, and you go meet somebody
Uh-huh.
else. And within that 5 minutes, I was just like, oh, I need to have her on the program. So like,
Yeah, I clicked with you right away too. No, I loved that.
so, um, so you entered that, and in what arena did you do public relations? Like, was it in as a contractor, or did you work for someone? And what field did you work
Hmm. Yeah, so I ended up doing public relations for 20 years, and after I graduated, my first job was at a public relations firm that specifically worked with high tech companies,
in? Hmm.
and so I was there for, I forget exactly how many years now, but a good portion of my early career. And then I actually went internal at a corporation called Maxstore, which was a storage company, like data storage company.
Okay.
So they're not around anymore. They were bought by Seagate, who I believe was bought by somebody else. But anyway, so I did PR firm, corporate, and I also did the independent consultant thing. And I did that for probably over 10 of the years that I did public relations. Mhm.
And once you got into public relations and you for these different places, and then you're independent, what was your favorite part about it?
My favorite part was interacting with the clients and managing the teams. So when I got to that level where I was really the one working on the strategy directly with the client and giving them my recommendations, and then working with the teams to make sure that these were implemented. And I would implement also, but I just liked that having the fun and the difficult conversations with clients, and just being kind of that person that they trusted was, giving them good advice on what to do.
And what part did you not enjoy? What was your least favorite part of that?
Probably writing bylined articles, which are, where you write the article and it's attributed to somebody else. And it wasn't the fact that it was attributed to somebody else that bothered me. It wasn't my most fun thing to do.
Okay.
Probably because it takes out that piece that I like so much, which is the interaction.
Right. It's an isolated kind of part of the job.
Right.
And if you're very people oriented, then that can feel pretty tedious. Even if you're good at it, it's not
right.
It's not your zone of genius, as they call it. It's just your,
It's something you're able to do it, and it's part of the job,
Right.
But yeah.
And I guess it's true of pretty much any job that you have.
Right.
There's going to be parts that you really love, and then there's just going to be stuff that you're just like, well, this is part of what I have to do, but I don't really enjoy doing it. So
those things you keep hoping will just do themselves, and then
and then that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20 years, you're doing PR, life is good, you're happy. And then what happens? March, infamous date.
Yeah.
March 2020 comes. Boom. Now what? How does everything change?
So March 2020. So once that happened, once the pandemic started, all of my clients, usually when something like that happens, something unpredictable, something that really nobody really knows quite how it's going to affect the economy and sales, and so their customers aren't buying as much, and so one of the first things to go is always marketing, which includes public relations. So I found myself with no work and time on my hands. And I didn't mind it. I kind of realized, oh my gosh, I'm really happy. Like, I haven't felt this happy in a while during a pandemic. Right? So I started to kind of think, gosh, like, was the public relations making me miserable? Like, was that a huge part of what was weighing on me? And so that really hit me. And then go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask, what do you think the source of the happiness was? I mean, obviously, other than, not having, the demands of the job on you, what brought you that sense of happiness or relief?
I think a big part of it was just my heart wasn't in public relations and in tech public relations. Like, for a while, I didn't feel I wanted to do something good, and that's why, I was on the board of a local nonprofit for over 8 years, and that was kind of why I did that. But then it just didn't feel like enough anymore. Like, I just wanted to be doing more with my life, I guess, than helping high-tech companies make money. And as part of that, you feel almost on call because if they shoot you an email or they call or they expect a response right away. And
did you realize that your heart was not in it before the pandemic, or did that allow you time to kind of reflect and come to that realization?
I think that's what the pandemic did. I think stepping away from it, and I think that's when I was like, wait a minute. I think I kind of knew that I wanted to do more, but I don't think I really had the chance to reflect on it as much as during then, because I was just day to day so busy and going through the
Mhm.
motions and just doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what I was trained to do,
Right.
that I
Mhm.
hadn't really thought about it before.
Mhm.
Wow. So you come to this realization, hey, I'm in a pandemic and I'm happy.
Right.
Well, now what?
Um, yeah, so I had been going through my own health journey for probably about a year at that point.
Okay.
And so the timing of a friend of mine contacting me about this new company out of Europe, they'd been there for 11 years, just coming to the US and uh, basically helping people to get to improve their health with these little lozenges that taste like candy. And at first I was like, yeah, right. Like whatever, like
That
send me
sounds
some,
like some public
like,
relations stuff to me.
right now. And I was kind of like, well, because I'm not one of those people who's like, I don't just go for anything. But she was a friend, and I said, well, send me samples. And I tried the samples, and I had my kids try the samples, and I just realized, oh, like there's really something here.
Mhm.
And like I said, I was already on a health journey, so I'm always looking for things to kind of just help further improve my health and my family's health, and especially since COVID. But yeah, and then so when these came and I tried them, and I was kind of like, I have to be a part of this. I have to share this with others. And it was kind of funny because I almost felt like I had gone full circle in the early on wanting to help animals and people. And as it turns out, these drops, as we call them, all our animals and people both benefit from them. So it's just been so
Oh, yeah.
fulfilling to me since doing that, because I get to hear every day from people how much better they're feeling. That, whether they're stressed, which is very common these days, or sick, or unhappy, or don't have the energy, just everything. It's I just love being able to help them out and feel better.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Renee. I'll go after you.
No, you good.
Okay. The thing that made me think of is that a lot of times we kind of know the direction that we want to go in, maybe the general thing that we want to do, but especially, back in the day, the exposure and the vision and the opportunity was usually so narrow. You're just like, well, I want to help people with their health, so I must want to be a doctor,
Right.
or someone might say, oh, I want to teach people about the Bible, so I guess I have to be a pastor. And I want to help people with their but I guess I must have to be a social worker. And so there's these boxes that we have assigned to these people do this. And if I want to do this, then I have to stay in that box. And here we come full circle. Obviously, times have changed and technology has changed, and so many things have changed that have opened up opportunities that we would not even have imagined, when we were in high school or even college. But still, you're doing the thing that you want to do, just in a way that you never would have imagined doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't mind me mentioning, actually, one thing I thought of while you were saying that was, I kind of like the example. So one of my sons is about to go off to college next year. And he's so funny because I was doing this actually part-time for a little while. And when the pandemic started lightening up a little bit, I did do some PR again. And I realized, oh, I'm miserable again. And so eventually, I think it was about 6 or 7 months ago now, I decided, no, I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm going to focus all of my energy into this and see what I can do with it. And my 18-year-old, he's like, are you sure, Mom? Are you sure? You were making good money. Are you? I said, I am happy. I am happy. And I was like, this is like just be happy for me. And so I'm hoping maybe he'll look back on it one day and just see money is important, but it's not everything. And if you believe in something that you're doing and you have a goal and you want, just, I think you got to believe in yourself and just follow that. So.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I love that story. That takes me back to an episode of Oprah, the Oprah Winfrey Show. And she was talking to people who had decided to leave extremely high-paying jobs to pursue their dreams and a life full of happiness. And I remember one example was like a high-level banking executive decided their position to be in the circus. I think they did, what do you call it? The trapeze or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
But them to be able to do something that's fun to them, that brings other people joy and all of that was more important than living this life where you brought in good money, but you're not satisfied with what you're doing every day. And of course, I would not encourage people to quit high-paying jobs to join the circus, but most definitely, pursuing something that, as we hear all the time, that kind of sets your soul on fire so that, you can enjoy your days. We only have one life to live, and we want to be able to find enjoyment in that, and it's not always around your job, but in anything that we do, we want to make sure that we're incorporating that into our life as well for good balance.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I think that I love that point. And I think that what I would even reflect on the part where you said that you had started, you were on the board of a nonprofit of a cause that mattered to you. And after, you did it for 8 years, I don't know if you still are, but 8 years, you were able to do something that mattered, but then you found you needed more than that. And a lot of times, when we hear people talk about purpose, it seems like it's always around like your career, like your life, like it's this big thing, but sometimes it's not. This may not be, it's a job that you're going to do. It may just be some other cause that you're like, okay, I go to work and that's fine, but then I'm going to spend some time over here and I'm going to invest in this cause or this thing that I believe in or do this thing. And then that does make you happy. It does set your soul on fire. But for other people, it may be a change in, and I'm, obviously, we're not telling anybody to quit their job tomorrow. Please don't quit your job unless you get the call from God and say, other than that, do not take this to mean that Lorraine, Renee, or Kristen have told you to quit your job. This is our disclaimer. But you have to know like you had the opportunity to have that very defined period of time to say, okay, it's time. It's time. This was enough for now, but now it's time for more. Everyone doesn't have that. The pandemic was kind of an artificial line in the sand when people had to stop whether they chose to or not. And, a lot of good came out of that for many people. Obviously, overall, it was not a good situation. But to be able to figure out, find, and sometimes even just testing, because you may not know what you didn't even know what these drops were. You never heard of it before, but you just tried something for yourself. And then it was just like, oh, I love this. I think that can happen a lot of times because we give the impression that finding your purpose is like, looking for your lost keys. And it's like, oh, there it is, But sometimes it's just trying things that you like, that you're interested in, that matter to you. And out of that, I don't even necessarily believe you find your purpose. I believe that most people develop their purpose. So obviously, there's some people who are just gifted at things right from almost childhood, but But I think you develop that, but you develop that from things that you love, that you're interested in, that you're passionate about. So.
Yeah. And I would say, even if you were gifted in something, I don't know that that would definitely necessarily be your purpose. Like, you may be gifted in something that ultimately down in your heart and soul, you're not passionate about. So
Yeah.
and for me, I think that maybe I did have that purpose, and I wasn't aware of how it would come about one day in the helping people and animals. But then ultimately I found my way back to it without, like you said, I wasn't really looking. It just kind of came, and I kept myself open to whatever came my way. So
yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's so cool because, yeah, like Lorraine was just talking about how you with your purpose, it's kind of developed. I think sometimes it's developed without us really knowing. Again, Lorraine, we've talked about you and where you are now, being a kid reading books on relationships, and now you're an adult who, is living a purpose, talking about relationships. And same thing for you, Kristen. Right now you are, I want to say, selling, a product, the lozenges that provide these really great health benefits. But a part of that is the selling part. You still have to know how to effectively communicate and all of that.
Yeah.
So everything that you've been doing has been preparing you still, and you weren't even thinking about this.
I know.
We had last week and earlier today, Lorraine and I were talking about how unconventional things can turn out. And, and really we're talking about the way that God works things out for us, right? We end up here in our tracks today. We stop, we look around, and we can look back and see the path that got us here. But when we were on it, we had no idea really where we were going to end up. And it's such an amazing, time, it's such an amazing time, but really what's amazing to me is the journey and how all of these little, sometimes they even seem like broken pieces, like, oh my goodness, this is a waste of time, or this just doesn't make sense. And then when you get further down the line, you can look back and you can see how all of those things came together.
Right. Or all those things that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Right. But really they did. You just didn't see it.
I was getting ready to say, like your stint in college, literally in medical school, trying to get this, this piece together. But does that educational piece that you had, does that play into this still today?
I think that the science part of it, this is because I was always very into science, and I'm still, I'm still a bit of a science nerd, and there's definitely science behind these drops. So I do find that part fascinating as well. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Well, as we get ready to close, I want to ask you, first of all, just to maybe tell us a 30 elevator speech about the company that you have started and what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So, my company is Papa Drop with Kristen. And as I said, it's an affiliate of APL Go, which the technology was developed in Germany over 11 years ago. And these are all natural. Like, they're all botanicals. There's nothing bad in them. You cannot overdose on them. They are safe for all ages. Even if you cannot suck on a hard candy because of a choking hazard, you can take it. We found ways. And yeah, we have 17 drops right now, and 18th coming. That's going to attack a visceral fat, which is that dangerous fat around our organs. So I'm super excited I'm so excited about that. I know. So that one's coming. But basically, we like to say, whatever you'd like to improve about your health, we have a drop for that. So I'm always happy. I know you said sell. And I know that's what I'm doing, Renee, but I hate that word because I feel like I'm more trying to I'm sharing, and I tried to work with people to, what would you improve, and work together with them to figure out which course to take that makes sense for them.
It makes complete sense. Yes.
Yeah. I just got my samples last night. I haven't tried it yet. focus, but
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. And I just wanted to just share a couple of two or three takeaways. I'll share two, and then Renee can share hers. My takeaway was that adversity can be the catalyst to amazing, and adversity is not fun. I know. Believe me.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in it, you're just kind of like, what in the world is happening? But as you all were just saying, all of that really does work to help you even often be better at the thing that you end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes, there were a lot of people who found purpose during the pandemic because they were able to stop doing the thing that was just work or whatever, and they developed deeper relationships. They developed something else. They started a business. They, whatever, or they changed jobs, or so much for individuals came out of that adversity. So don't reject adversity, even though it can be very challenging. The second one is marriage is not anyone's purpose. Kristen is married. She was married for 21 years and all of that. And still, it's not a substitute for you as an individual finding that thing that sets your soul on fire. And so, this program is geared at single women, single people. Anyone can watch it, obviously, and we have married people on here. But that's part of my purpose, is to help single women realize they have a purpose, regardless of their relationship status. They have a purpose. And if you haven't found it, often we try to substitute relationships for that thing. And when they're the wrong relationships, that's even worse. But even when you have it, so many people are married and they love their husband, they love their kids, they whatever, but there's still that thing that's missing. And so, yeah, it's not your purpose to be married. It's your purpose to be purposed. And then whatever state you are in, live that, walk in it. Renee, what's yours?
Actually, I want to reiterate one of yours, which is to appreciate the pause. The pandemic allowed so many, or actually forced a lot of people to just come to an absolute screeching halt in their lives. And some people, I'm sure, panicked. They had no idea what in the world they were going to do during that time. But there are a lot of people who seized the opportunity, whether they really tried to or not, but it was just an opportunity for people's minds to open up and to be creative and to get to know themselves. And like I think you said earlier, Lorraine, and maybe you, Kristen, to try new things, right? Because during the pandemic, I tried everything from pottery to, just so many different skills. Okay. Read so many books. And, again, it was an opportunity for us to get to know ourselves, our skills, our abilities, and to take that time to try things that we never had the time to try. Because like Kristen, you're so busy, you're doing your job, right? Trying to make a living. And thank God for the pandemic that had people stop dead in your tracks. Dead in your tracks. And there was definitely a blessing in that. The other takeaway that I had was just being okay getting out of your comfort zone, right? 20 years of doing, working in this, on this particular career path, you would think, I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off. It's what I do. I'm good at it. And it's okay, to, when you realize that there is something else of interest, to go ahead on and take a chance, bet on yourself, try something new, and find your joy, find something that adds value to your life. Because when you're better for your kids, you're better for your family, you're better for the world and everything, because you don't have those stresses that you didn't even realize that you had on you anyway. But now you know what it's like to live without that stress and to do something you enjoy and bring a better version of yourself to the world. Those are my couple of takeaways.
Yeah. And I will add something that Renee and I talked about before we started, is that you went to your husband and you were just like, hey, I don't really want to do that anymore. What do you think about this? And he was like, go for it. And,
Mhm.
Our program is called Live, Love, and Marry Wiser. And that's part of the deal when you're thinking about someone, is how do they embrace what your purpose is or what your dreams are? How do they walk with you on that path? Now, obviously, you can't look 20 years down the road, but if they're not supportive of you when you're dating, you can bet they're not going to be supportive of you when you're married, And so, I mean, even the fact that when you got on the path to public relations, it was him that kind of led you there. And then when you wanted to change, it was like, yeah, I support you, And so, and that's not just a general support. I mean, you were bringing money into the household. So there's other things that go into, yay, I'm rooting for you, It's like, that's a real thing. And so marry wiser, so that when you're led to something, that you have someone who's there to support you. So I'm just going to close with this scripture from Esther 4:14, which is Esther's probably one of my favorite characters in the Bible. And this is talking about when Haman was going to kill the Jews, and she was married to the king, but they didn't know she was a Jew. And her uncle comes to her and he says, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And this is my favorite part of that. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? And it's funny that I have this kind of running tally in my phone about things that we say in the world that we don't know came from the Bible. But you say this all the time. Who knows if you come for such a time as this? And may not even realize that it's from a biblical context. But we are come. I believe that we are come to this world at this time for such a time as this. And so whatever it is that you feel, kind of stirring up in your soul, do it. Even if you can't quit your job, find a way to do it on the side, or find a way to be around people who are doing it, to see if you really love it. There is a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. And so you are here for such a time as this. So do the thing that not just puts food on the table. Of course, that's important. That blesses the world, because I think ultimately that's all of our purpose, is to impact the world for good. So the way that I impact the world for good is you can go to A Single Mission. I do coaching, life and relationship coaching for single women. And I also have an online course. I actually started my course last Sunday, the first run of that. And it's going great. I got 4 women in there, and 5 actually. And it's fantastic. We had a great time, and I'm super excited. And that's one of the reasons I know that I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to be, because even when stuff is rough, like all around, as soon as I start doing it, not the administrative, not the tech, when I get to do the thing, like my soul lights up. And I actually got to, coach with someone today, and I just love it. I just love it. And so if you are interested in any of those services, go to asinglemission.com, and the links are in the description as well. Please sign up for a free discovery call. You get a free call with me, and we can talk about what your needs are and what services would be most appropriate for you. Also, if you want a speaker for an event that you have for singles, I do that as well. You can also, the link for that is in the description of this program. So as we are running out of time, let me just tell you, we got a love story for next Tuesday. We got another love story, because it's our Love Wiser Day. So my pastor and his wife are going to be here and they're going to be live to share their story. And when you see them, you're going to be like, I don't want to hear from them. They're young. but there's a story still. And so I think that you're going to love it. I'm excited for you to hear it. And I appreciate all of you for joining us. Thank you, Kristen, for being here. I'm so happy it went as well as I imagined that it was going to.
Well, thanks again for having me. It was fun.
Thank you. And maybe we'll do it again.
Hey.
So until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser.